Hello and welcome to another episode of Toonami Pre-Flight. I'm Gil.
I'm Jason.
And today we're going to talk Lupin III, some of our and your favorite heist movies. We'll have a sneak peek looking at this week's Toonami and a Bloom Room. But first...
Maybe a Bloom Room.
Probably a Bloom Room. Signs are very... Looks really... 85% Bloom Room. But we have some announcements to get through first.
Don't get excited. It's not the show announcement.
Some pre-show announcement because lawyers are keeping us from making the announcement you actually want to see. So this is sort of the lead up to that announcement, which will not happen today.
Now that you've mealy-mouthed your way through it entirely. So basically, people have been bugging us. So when are you going to announce the new show? When are you going to announce the new show? We can't yet because of
today.
Because of lawyers. We've been working on it forever. It will be something you guys will be excited about. We were personally involved in making it happen, and it's looking incredibly close to happening, but we're not allowed to talk about it yet. So
we've already said too much.
For the next 2 weeks, we are doing a few different things, because also it's weird to premiere a show, and then we're going to have a marathon on Memorial Day. So, like, premiere a show, run it for a week, and then yank it, and then start running it again. So we're just going to premiere the show the week after Memorial Day, which means... this next week after Dimension W, we're going to run 2 episodes of DBZ Kai.
Correct.
Which we will have a
21st.
promo for later in the broadcast. And then the week after that, we're going to do a Samurai Champloo marathon for Memorial Day weekend, which, again, is a weekend traditionally where people don't watch much TV because they're barbecuing in their backyards and getting drunk with their friends. And although many of you will want to do this, I urge you to instead stay home and watch a Samurai Champloo marathon.
You can do both.
Getting drunk might be optional.
Yeah, just
after the barbecue.
Transition at midnight.
Yeah, after the barbecue, everybody wander in, make sure everyone's feeling good, and then start watching some Champloo marathon. So, and then the week after that, God willing, we'll be premiering a new show. So that's where we're at.
Bleep it out now.
Television's a fascinating and unusual business, and sometimes things don't go exactly as you want. So that's all the info you're getting. Now buzz off. So let's...
That does us for today. Thanks for watching.
Bye! So let's get into today's show, which is Lupin III, the classic OG cartoon that ran on Adult Swim. Only 26 episodes ran on Adult Swim, but there are 6 Lupin television series. It premiered in 1967, and it is basically about a thief and his friends and the misadventures that they get into. There have been several Lupin movies, both live action and animated, a ton of Lupin OVAs, Lupin spin-off series. There's even a new Lupin movie that just came out. There's the Legend of Fujiko Mine, which was a spin-off. And so Lupin is sort of an embedded part of Japanese culture. It was a pretty huge anime in the 70s and 80s, and now it's more just sort of oh yeah, Lupin. He's like someone everyone knows. Lupin did really well in European countries because I think he's definitely
rooted in the French culture. He feels Italian.
Yeah, his Lupin is supposed to be the son of a grandson of a famous thief that is a character that was written about in a series of French novels. And they took that intellectual property and just had him be the descendant. So as a result of pending intellectual property cases in Europe, Lupin was called something else there, which I'll look at back up when we're looking at one of the clips. But he was called something else there for years until about 5 years ago when basically it was grandfathered in because eventually after
gave up.
After 100 years something becomes public domain. So at that point he's public domain and they can call him Lupin everywhere in the world. But in Europe for years he was called something else. We aired Lupin because we were into it in 2003 for a couple years. We got 26 dubbed episodes and ran them, and it did okay, but it didn't do well enough to warrant, I guess, the powers that be paying money for new dubs or more episodes, which is unfortunate. I believe we ran the second Lupin TV series. There are, as I said, 6. The second one is, I think, the longest or one of the longest. It goes on for
Yeah, there's
150 episodes.
There's 150 something, 79 of which were going to be dubbed, but 26 were, and I don't honestly know what all the
Byzantine
outs
stuff that happened. But yeah, so why don't we dug up the original Lupin the Third Adult Swim promo. It's low quality, but you can see how it was promoted on Adult Swim Action back in the day. Made that, I think it was probably Hamid.
Yeah, I would think so.
One of our bump makers that was working on Adult Swim Action back in the day. But yeah, you can see just from the style of it, it definitely, shows like Cowboy Bebop, and certainly Watanabe's entire style is somewhat derived from this, from the style of Lupin. So I looked it up while we were away, and outside of Japan and Europe, it was usually, the name was usually changed to Rupon or Wolf back in the day. But yeah, I have always been a Lupin fan. I like the humor. I think he's sort of a more flexible character. Some of the people that work with him turn him into they make it into like a crime thriller thing where there's a little more sex and violence and it's a little more serious. And then some turn it into more of a fun, lighthearted thing. Certainly Miyazaki left a huge stamp on him with the Castle of Cagliostro, which was his first movie that Miyazaki directed himself, and a classic Lupin story. But he's a good, the whole crew is actually, he's surrounded by other good characters, and there's an inspector, Zenigata, that chases them all the time. And it's just sort of, they kind of sometimes have storylines that continue for a long time and sometimes just do like a heist of the week. But it's fun.
Yeah, I wish that we had more and had run more. I think it's a great story and a good show.
Yeah.
But evidently other people didn't agree.
It just looked old, I think, and that always is a problem. Yeah, my first encounter with Lupin was actually a video game. Cliffhanger, which takes scenes from the Castle of Cagliostro, but also some other Lupin movies, and combines them into sort of a somewhat disjointed storyline, but it's basically like Dragon's Lair or Space Ace. You could... you played as Lupin, and you would enter a room, and then you could move the joystick in a direction, and if you moved it in the right direction, you continued and got another scene. If you moved
a joystick is when you only have one controller to move your man around.
Anyway, so if you did it wrong, you died. I think people know what a joystick is.
Just making.
Yeah, it just wasn't fun.
Yeah, I didn't see Castle Cagliostro for I guess 10 years after playing that video game, because the game was like early mid 80s.
Yeah,
and then I saw the movie in high school.
In the U.S., you had no idea it was Lupin. It was just some guy, like it was a game.
And I was just like, wait, they made a movie out of this video game? That's crazy.
Yeah. But, so yeah, Lupin even managed to, somewhat become a part of pop culture in a small way in the U.S., but he never broke out here the way he did elsewhere. But I just have an ongoing fondness for the character and sometimes check it out. I think, not all the Lupins, but a good amount are on Hulu and elsewhere. And sometimes it's fun to just throw on sort of in the background while you're doing other stuff.
Yeah, they have the series of the the run that we ran.
Yeah, the writing is pretty good, and the jokes are funny. There's a little bit of boobies and stuff, so I can't really watch it with my daughter around, but it's a fun show. Speaking of the Girls of Lupin, we also have another promo that our friends at Adult Swim Action did back in the day, the Lupin the Third Girls promo. Check it out.
So, how's that humble pie tasting?
Pretty sweet graphics.
I do like the machine guns continue the whole time.
Yeah, but that's very much, Lupin is very much like a Austin Powers-y in a lot of ways, like goofy 60s, 70s type humor. But it's very endearing if you're into that kind of thing. And I love the style of the characters. So Lupin, check it out if you haven't seen it. I would just go ahead and start at the beginning. They're pretty easy to find, but the second series, the one we ran, is really the one that sort of, I think he more came into his own, and that was where his popularity really exploded, if you're sort of looking for a shortcut. So moving on to our question of the week, which we think is somewhat related to Lupin, which is, what's your favorite heist movie? And for the purposes of this discussion, heist movie just means any movie that centers around or is largely about a particular heist of some kind.
A caper.
A caper. So I'll start, and I'm going to start. I didn't know that I picked this order, but I guess I'll start somewhat obscure. So one of my favorite heist movies is a movie called Le Cercle Rouge, which is a French film from the 60s, starring Alain Delon and Yves Montand, two pretty famous, those are mega stars of French cinema. It's directed by Jean-Pierre Melville, who's one of my probably top 5 directors. He is a French New Wave director who in the 60s and 70s and early 80s made some classic crime cinema movies. He's got 5 heist movies on his resume, so really any Jean-Pierre Melville movie could work. But this one in particular, Le Cercle Rouge, stars Alain Delon as a basically a thief who is recently out of jail and gets caught up in a ring of dudes who are going to try to rob this jewelry store that's got this legendary amount of security. And Yves Montand plays a crooked ex-cop who's helping. And so it's basically a really dry heist thriller in the way that they really only did in the 70s and maybe 80s, where you don't really learn much about the characters, and it's a bunch of dudes just meeting in places and mumbling in French to each other, like, mon Dieu, and just a lot of jazz on the soundtrack. But the central heist is the last entire hour of the movie, and it's amazing, and it involves Yves Montand making a particular shot with a gun that's mounted on a rack where he has no room for error, and it's a pretty tense, amazing crime movie. If you're into crime thrillers, I would say it's worth checking out, or any Jean-Pierre Melville movie. So
it's great, and you get to see a young Danny DeVito ride in the back of the car.
I couldn't find, even though it's on Criterion, I couldn't find any a modern Criterion trailer, and sort of the best I could do is this old school sort of trailer, so this will give you at least a generalized feel for the movie without really telling you much. So check this out.
Ceux qui ont rendez-vous à l'intérieur de ce cercle ne manqueront pas de s'y retrouver pour y vivre ou pour y mourir. allemand.
So if that collection of men in raincoats chasing each other with guns and mumbling seems up your alley, you too might be a fan of Le Cercle Rouge.
You should subscribe to the new TCM Criterion Collection Over the Top app.
Yeah, for sure. So my next one is a bit more of a modern film, which I think we've probably talked about before, but Inception is one of my favorite heist movies. And really, your mind is the scene of the crime was the tagline. But this whole movie is literally about a heist. Like, the entire movie, in fact, is about how the heist team comes together, discussion of how it's possible to enact the heist, and then the last entire hour of the movie is the heist. So this, to me, is the most heisty heist film I can think of. But it's also,
that should have been our question.
It's also unusual because it's about an alternate future, somewhat. It's not really the future, it's just an alternate reality where people have the ability to go into each other's dreams. And this is about, instead of removing something from a person's mind inside their dream, it's about planting an idea inside someone's mind.
Can't be done.
And in order to do it, they have it's so complicated that it requires a ridiculous amount of planning and effort, and it is incredibly dangerous to do. So I love this movie. I think it's Nolan's best, probably, or one of them. But it's a heist movie that also gets to play around with the rules of dreams and dream reality. So it's like a surreal heist movie. And I think that's somewhat exemplified by this scene, which is the hallway scene where this is layer 2 of a dream that ends up having 4 layers, I believe, or 3 layers, where in one layer of the dream, these guys are in a van that's being chased down by some guys. And in the second layer of the dream, they are in a hotel. And what is happening in layer 1 is affecting layer 2. So check it out.
Did you see that?
So yeah, pretty incredible sequence from a great heist movie. And then finally, my last choice is the last film from the legendary director John Frankenheimer, and that is the movie Ronin, which when did that come out? In the late 90s? Yeah, late 90s. And that stars Robert De Niro and a whole bunch of other great character actors, and is basically revolves around a MacGuffin, which in heist movies, a MacGuffin is a device, or it's a thing that is a plot device that basically it doesn't really matter what it is. It's the thing that motivates the plot, the thing that everyone wants to get, but you never really learn necessarily what it is. And so Ronin revolves around a MacGuffin, which is a case that a group of freelance former special operatives and spies have been hired by an IRA operative to get, and they don't know what the case is for or what's in it. They just know that they've been tasked to get it for an amount of money. So it's a totally dry sort of heist thriller, but also has some of the most amazing car chases
for sure
ever. And it's probably one of the last times I can remember practical car chases being used. I read about this movie, and they went through something like 85 BMWs in this movie.
They're all like super nice European cars.
Yeah, and they basically used a team of 35 real drivers, and then a lot of the times the actual actors there are two people in the car, and the guy that's driving is on the other side, and that's the stuntman, and the actor's pretending to drive. But the actor's still in the car as they're going like 80 miles an hour through these tiny Paris streets. So at that time, they were starting to use CGI more, but Frankenheimer's much more of an old school director and decided he wanted all of the effects to be practical. So they spent months and months shooting all these car chases on the streets of, I believe it's Paris. And you can tell it's just an amazing, great heist movie. Robert De Niro probably in one of his last roles before he just totally gave up and started
started fucking it all over the place.
Till he started taking paychecks to make jokes with Ben Stiller and just called it a friggin' day. But so here is I can't remember if it's a scene. Yeah, it's a chase. This is one half, because the chase scenes are really long. This is like one half of one chase scene in this movie, so check it out. like Robert De Niro's race face.
Yeah.
Although it's not like I wouldn't make the same shitting my pants face if I was involved in any way.
In Ronan shitting your pants in a nice rented Peugeot.
So yeah, those are some of my favorite heist movies. Gil?
Nice. First for me is The Killing, Stanley Kubrick's 1956, I believe, movie. And this sort of sets up a lot of later heist movies and sort of the way they're done in terms of the nonlinear editing style and some of the sort of plot devices. Tarantino's talked a lot about how this movie influenced him. And it didn't do well when it came out, and nobody really understood it. But Kirk Douglas saw this movie and hired Stanley Kubrick for Paths of Glory based on that, and then it sort of informed a lot of other heist movies since then. So let's watch a scene, and you can sort of get the feel. And this is, 60 years ago now? And this is still the way they're making heist movies today.
I don't get it, Johnny. About these two other guys. You mean there's going to be two other guys in on the deal, and we ain't going to know who they are?
That's right. You don't know who they are, and they don't know who you are. That makes sense to you, doesn't it?
Well, yes, I guess so, but
Makes sense to me, all right. How come we need them, though, Johnny? What are they going to do?
Oh, one of them's for the job with a rifle. None of you boys can handle that, even if you were willing to. And the other one starts the fight in the bar.
These other fellas, how much are they cutting in for? Not that I mind. Anything you do is okay, but...
These men are not going to be in on the basic scheme. They're getting paid to perform certain definite duties at a certain definite time. And they're not cutting in on the take. They'll be paid a flat price to do a straight job.
Well, if they don't know anything about the basic plan, about the job, then why are they doing it?
That's simple. These boys are straight hoods. They get paid in advance. $5,000 for the one with the rifle and $2,500 for the other.
Well, where's this money coming from?
That's where Marvin comes in. He's getting the $7,500 for us, and he gets it back off the top.
I wish I could do more, Johnny. It's almost not right for me to get as much as everybody else. After all I do is...
Your money counts for plenty, Marv. You don't hear any of them complaining, do you?
Sure. You're okay in our book, Marv.
But look, Johnny, if these two hoods get paid in advance, how do you know they're going to do their jobs?
I'll vouch for them. These guys are pros. They can't afford to weasel out on a deal. If they did, they'd be washed up. Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, let's take a look at this, then. This is a rough drawing of the track as I remember it. Randy, you'll have to get me an A1 street map of the whole district. George, Mike, I want you to go over this thing with me inch by inch. Bring it completely up to date. Add or subtract the slightest change, even if it's something as small as the placing of a hot dog stand. Now, give or take a few thousand, I figure the loot on this deal at $2 million. There should be that much in the track offices. That includes profits on the pari-mutuel betting, the breakage money, taxes from the mutual machines, receipts from the concessions, and the money from ticket sales. None of this money is allowed to accumulate at any one point around the track, except for money to make change with and the mutual clerk's payoff money, why it all goes into the office. And out of the entire take, only a few $1,000s is put in the office safe to cover emergencies. The rest is out in the open, held for pickup by armored car. That car arrives about 5 o'clock and parks directly in front of the main entrance to the clubhouse. 2 men stay in it. One at the wheel, the other at a machine gun in the turret. 2 others enter the office to collect the dough. Now, they're armed, of course, and so are the track detectives who cover them from the car to the office and back. Now, once the armored car arrives, a stick-up is out of the question.
So setting up different people in different jobs and not meeting the people that are doing the job and going to different places. And they're basically set up to rob this racetrack of all this money. So it definitely has the seeds of the Ocean's movies and all those sort of like where all the money is and how much money. And I like the $2 million is everyone's like, oh my God, like that's the Austin Powers joke of inflation is a bitch. And 60 years ago, that would have been a lot of
$2 million still sounds like a lot of money to me.
Yeah, but I mean, not throw everything away. Heist movie money. I mean, I would take it.
Still sounds like...
Speaking of which, I got to talk to you about a job after this.
It still sounds like a lot of money to me.
We need 2 more guys, but I think we can still do it. But yeah, The Killing, Stanley Kubrick. Check it out if you have not seen it. And up next for me is another oldie but goodie, The Thomas Crown Affair. Not the newer Thomas Crown Affair.
No. This isn't the real Thomas Crown Affair. You mean the one with...
This is the pre-make.
You mean the one with Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo?
Yeah, that's
the classic 90s.
Thomas Crown Affair.
The real one.
Yeah.
This is like when they didn't really perfect it yet.
Yeah, this was the
initial Steve McQueen, Faye Dunaway, fine, but when you got Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo, I mean,
but yeah, do not see that Pierce Brosnan movie.
What do you mean?
That movie is a piece of shit.
What?
See this movie.
You'll have to work hard to avoid that movie because that one's on HBO literally every freaking day.
It's
every time I'm like, Thomas Crown Affair.
Yeah, you got to watch like Starz classics to watch the Thomas Crown Affair,
or just own the Blu-ray like I do.
Indeed, but I mean, if you wanted to just discover it,
yeah.
But the Thomas Crown Affair is Steve McQueen. He is a rich playboy, really smart businessman who is also a thief just because he's kind of bored.
An art thief.
He sets it up as he's stolen art and now he's going to rob this bank. And he has, similar to The Killing, sets it up where the guys haven't met each other. They don't know him. They don't know each other. And they sort of just meet, do the job, and then split back up. And Faye Dunaway plays the insurance investigator who comes to try to solve the case because it's a lot of money. The bank wants it back. So this scene is they sort of have a feeling that it's Thomas Crown who's done it, but they can't prove anything. So they're trying to sweat him out, and they have him sitting opposite one of the criminals that he's hired. And this just sort of shows him as a cool customer.
Eddie?
Good night, Vicky. Have a good time.
Oh, Eddie, I'd like you to meet Thomas Crown. Mr. Crown, Lieutenant Eddie Malone, criminal investigation.
I'm not going to say a thing until I talk to my lawyer. How do you do?
He's not going to say a thing until he sees his lawyer. Hey, that's pretty good.
Shall we go?
Good night.
Good night.
Say good night to Irwin, dear.
Good night, Erwin, dear.
Good night, Irwin, dear. Hey, that's good.
Like ice. Round 3. You won a round. That's your only round so far. Where should we go to celebrate?
And like any good heist movie, there's a big twist at the end that we won't spoil here if you want to watch it. And also a really great title sequence that we totally stole for our Bebop promo back in the day.
Yep. A lot of great split screen in that movie. It's a super 60s movie in terms of its editing and stuff, but there's some hilarious and awesome multiple use of split screen in that movie.
Yeah, they shot it. It's like they shot way more footage and the movie was way too long. So part of it is them cutting it down for time, and then part of it is just stylistic.
Who directed
choices.
it? Wasn't it Norman Jewison? Yeah.
And Hal Ashby edited it. And evidently the score was they cut a 5-hour cut of the movie.
5 hours? Like, come on.
Then,
what are you doing?
And then the composer, who I can't think of right now.
I mean, we're spraying it at 5 hours.
He made a 90-minute score, and then they recut the movie to that.
Oh, really?
To the score. And the deal he made with the director is, if this doesn't work, I'll score the movie for you the way you want to cut it for free. And it worked. So
crazy.
Thomas Crown Affair. Rene Russo and Pierce Brosnan. Check it out. And last for me is Heat, the Michael Mann movie.
In Val Kilmer's way.
Yeah. This was the first DVD I ever bought.
It's another Robert De Niro before he sucked.
Yeah. Heat, I feel like everybody knows Heat. Let's just roll the sweet-ass downtown gun sequence.
Cool. Sounds good.
And only part of it because it's like 45 minutes long, but it's still great.
Stay down. We want to hurt no one. We're here for the bank's money, not your money. Your money is insured by the federal government. You're not going to lose a dime. Think of your families. Don't risk your life. Don't try and be a hero. Right now, I want you to sit on the floor and put your hands on your head. Anybody feel sick? Anybody got heart trouble? Go ahead and lean against the wall. Come here, Chief.
What key?
Get out! And stay out! Sit there. Sit there. Don't move. Let him bleed. Get out! Hey! Hey! Put your head down! Don't look at me again!
Down!
Put your head down! God!
Down! Police, move! Move, get down.
Get down!
Move, down.
Veteranio.
Get down! Second car!
But yeah, so that was
95.
Yeah, and was billed as the first time that Al Pacino and Robert De Niro were on screen together.
And they
at the same
shared
time.
2 minutes.
A cup of coffee.
Still a great movie, though, and
Yeah.
one of their last great ones, both of those actors, actually.
Yeah, we should do Al Pacino. Your favorite
We will.
Al Pacino movies that
We will.
before they suck.
We will.
And,
or after. I'm into that. Michael Mann made that movie as a made-for-TV movie in the 80s and didn't get it right, and it obsessed him to the point where he wanted to remake it and finally got the funding and everything together in the 90s. But there's another version of this movie that's made-for-TV movie that was made in the 80s.
which is not.
And both of them are based off of a real bank heist that went wrong that resulted in a shootout with multiple automatic weapons on the LA freeway, just like you see in the movie, which is bananas to me.
The guy who plays Waingro, Kevin Gage, went to prison for allegedly growing weed because he was in a bad car accident, even though he had a medical marijuana license. But anyway, they said that all of the prisoners and all of the guards called him Waingro the whole time.
I didn't know that.
Which is a pretty awesome story.
I also love Val Kilmer right there when he sees those guys
Yeah,
walking.
just the
He doesn't
instant that he
even
flips the switch.
Doesn't even hesitate first. He doesn't go, "I see the guys. Let's go. Let's get out of here." He just goes, "Up, time
he walks
to murder."
out smiling with a bag of money and immediately starts blasting.
Yeah, but great movie.
So yeah, let's check out what the Adult Swim Facebook's choices were for your favorite heist movies.
And we have Heat at... Oh, that's Toonami. Sorry. No, hey, both. Yeah. Heat at number 1. Looks like Gil, once again, riding the people's wave, as always.
It's a great movie.
Number 2, Snatch, which is a heist movie and a super fun heist movie.
Yeah.
Number 3, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I mean, come on, guys. You got a Guy Ritchie movie on there. Move on. Ocean's 11, which...
Do you think they mean the Sinatra Ocean's 11?
No, I think they mean the new one. Ocean's 11, which is a fun movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed. I don't know that I would call it one of the greatest heist movies ever. I would just call it a fun movie. And, of course, Reservoir Dogs, which is technically... For me, I didn't pick Reservoir Dogs because it's really more about the aftermath and the before of a heist and doesn't show the heist at all, which is what makes it an interesting and unusual movie. That's why, to me, it's not a heist movie, because it doesn't show the heist at all. But it's about a heist that went wrong, so I kind of can see the logic.
We'll allow it.
We'll allow it. Adult Swim Facebook.
So let's check out the Toonami Facebook choices.
And once again, we have Heat at the top. The Ocean's Trilogy, which, get the hell out of here. The only good Ocean's movie is the first one. The second one is dog shit, and so is the third one.
The third one's not
there's
quite
funny
as bad
jokes.
as the second one.
Yeah, there's
is,
funny jokes in all of
good.
them, but none of them are good movies except maybe the first one. And then Ant-Man, because I guess people have to have a Marvel superhero in everything that they do. And it is technically a heist movie. I mean, it's about him...
breaks into a place and steals some stuff,
yeah,
just
that's
like
why
they said in the trailer.
That's why he gets the suit. The Town, which placed higher than... I'm surprised by how high this movie placed, not because it's not good, but because it wasn't that popular. But,
I love that movie.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I like it, but love is...
I mean, I love it in the sense that it's like, when it's on, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch The Town for a little bit. It's not The Departed, let's not get crazy. But
I don't love it, yeah, it's okay.
And
Snatch, which I do watch every time it's on television. Snatch is like 90% style over substance, but it's done so well that you just don't care. And it's got so many great British character actors and weird scenes that it just sort of is always a rewarding watch, even if you know it's kind of bullshit. But thanks for your sending us your picks for your favorite heist movies on the Toonami and Adult Swim Facebook. And as always, you can keep checking back every week to those two places, and we will have a new question of the week for a new pre-flight. So now on to our sneak peek, which one of the first of which is a new Criminal Threats, because it's been a while since we've done one.
Yeah.
And we call these Criminal Threats. They're really just sort of combo promos of different shows.
Mood pieces.
So check out our most recent Criminal Threats.
We won't be intimidated by criminal threats.
Every Saturday night at midnight, Adult Swim's building you a better cartoon show.
Everyone to your positions.
Throw them into the world of darkness.
We call it Toonami.
Do we fight or do we run? No matter how you slice it, we're gonna have a fight.
What the Earth needs is not a gentle guardian, but a warrior.
It's going to be difficult and it's going to be dangerous. Can you handle that?
You don't know who you're messing with. I am Vegeta. I have no limits.
I'm afraid your time is over.
Now, let's beat them to a bloody pulp.
Much more than teaching them the meaning of fear.
Toonami, every Saturday night from midnight to 3:30.
Was that not an appropriate moment to laugh?
It was an appropriate moment.
And second, we have a promo for the double DBZ Kai one night special brought to you by lawyers across America and Japan. So check this out.
What's better than one episode of Dragon Ball Z Kai? 2 new episodes of Dragon Ball Z Kai.
The whole planet could be in danger. Where you see a threat, I see a challenge.
Toonami's doubling down and letting the Z Fighters go blow for blow, back to back.
That sounds insane. Guess we're gonna have a real fight on our hands this time, huh?
The Dragon Ball Z Kai Power Hour starts next Saturday at midnight.
And if Super Saiyan's not enough, how go beyond?
Better start training.
And in the classic tradition of Toonami Dragon Ball promos, one of 1,000, but I always like them. And then finally, we are
most likely
going to have a Bloom Room, so we're going to throw to it, and in the hopes that you will then see a clip. Steve has been very busy lately, but he has told us we should have a Bloom Room, so we're just going to put the pressure on him and tell him we put it in the show.
Yeah.
So let's throw, hopefully, to a Bloom Room. Check it out.
This week on the Bloom Room, we head back to one of my favorite places on the planet, the Hawaiian Islands. Come with me. There's pretty much nowhere else on the globe that I feel more inspired than in the Hawaiian Islands. We started out on Oahu at Kauai-Con.
Please welcome to the stage, Steve Bloom.
It's the first time I've been back here in many years. It's grown a lot. Toonami is definitely alive and well on Oahu. This dude even gave me a watch. Chris just gave me this super cool Toonami watch from 2002. He is a true Toonami faithful, and I'm really grateful for you, man. Thank you for watching Toonami. It was an awesome con with some great people. This time around, we got out a lot. We went to the zoo and met up with a few of our friends. We even made it up to the top of the volcano again. Then headed down to the beaches, the one that everybody has to go to, on Nauma Bay. As usual, it was pretty crowded, but we saw some great stuff. Here's what it looked like under the water. The state fish, Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua'a, and turtles in love. Lots of other wildlife around too, like crabs, geckos, wild dogs, and some really cool birds. If you ever get a chance to go, I'd highly recommend it. There's secret beaches everywhere. Great big mahalo to my friends at Kauai-Con on Oahu and Hawaii-Con on the Big Island. And until next time, aloha.
Great job, Steve.
Hopefully we just witnessed a really great Bloom Room.
I'm sure we did.
If not, you just saw a card that said Bloom Room for a second, and I hope that moment of contemplation was good and centering for you as a person.
It's
so
good
either
to
way,
reset.
either way, you got something out of it, which is all we really want here at Toonami Pre-Flight Studios.
It's true. We will see you next time. Tune into Toonami this coming Saturday, midnight to 3:30, and maybe we'll have another Bloom Room, or maybe we'll have
something.
else.
We'll have some shit for you to see and hopefully comment on and enjoy. If that's the goal, as always.
Hopefully we nailed it.
Thanks.
Bye.